As a textile employee, your safety and health is a top priority for the textile industry and your company. There are training programs and procedures that your company follows to ensure a safe and healthy work environment. These programs cover many workplace processes and exposures, including cotton dust. The textile industry uses cotton in many of the goods it makes. Cotton is used because it's very versatile and can be used in many products like shirts, blue jeans, military uniforms, sheets, towels, and upholstery. Even the thread that's used for dunking tea bags is made out of cotton. Although cotton is an excellent fiber, during the making of cotton products, a small amount of dust is produced, which may cause health concerns for some employees working in cotton processing areas. This video will describe why cotton dust may affect you, explain how the requirements of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration's, or OSHA's, cotton dust standard will help protect you, and how your company is meeting the agency's requirements. Cotton is harvested from the cotton plant. The raw cotton is taken to the gin where the seeds and most of the foreign matter like dirt, leaf trash, and stems are removed, and the fibers are separated from the seeds. Then it's packaged into bales and stored in a warehouse until it's time to be shipped to a textile facility. At the plant, the cotton fiber is spun into yarns. After it's spun into yarn, it will be woven or knitted into a fabric. During the yarn manufacturing process, from bale opening to weaving, cotton dust may be generated and you could be exposed to it. The need to protect textile employees from cotton dust was discovered through medical studies. These studies found a link between high cotton dust levels and some of the breathing troubles that were occurring in textile industry employees. Scientists believed employees inhaling large amounts of cotton dust into their lungs caused the problems. What exactly is cotton dust? Well, it can be made up of many different substances, including ground-up plant matter, soil, and other impurities which may be associated with the cotton during growing and harvesting. The exact makeup of the dust that you may be exposed to varies from facility to facility. What's in the cotton dust that actually causes breathing problems is uncertain. However, we know it's not the cotton fiber, but most likely a component of the bacteria that exists on the fiber and/or the natural plant chemicals in the dust particles. It's not the dust particles that you can see, but the microscopic ones that can be inhaled into the lungs that may be harmful. However, most scientists agree that the cotton dust may cause a disease called bisonosis, also known as brown lung. The symptoms of bisonosis are an asthmatic-like tightness of the chest and difficulty in breathing. If you're exposed to cotton dust for a short period, your lungs will recover. However, scientists believe that long-term unprotected exposure to high levels of cotton dust may permanently affect your breathing capacity. Scientists, textile manufacturers, and government regulators all agree that the best way to prevent you from experiencing brown lung symptoms is to strictly limit your exposure to cotton dust. In 1971, OSHA issued its first cotton dust standard to protect textile employees. In 1978, OSHA issued a more complete standard, Occupational Exposure to Cotton Dust. OSHA again modified the cotton dust regulation in 1985. The OSHA standard regulates the exposure of textile employees to cotton dust in all workplaces where employees are engaged in yarn manufacturing, including bale opening and blending through winding, slashing, and weaving, or work in waste houses. Knitting, classing, and warehouse operations are exempt from the standard. To meet the requirements of the OSHA cotton dust standard, your company has adopted a cotton dust control program that includes exposure monitoring, dust control measures, medical surveillance, education and training, signs, and record keeping. OSHA requires the air in your facility to be tested periodically to see if the cotton dust levels in any cotton processing areas are above the permissible exposure limits, or PELs, established by the standard. If you work in cotton processing areas, then your company must determine how much cotton dust you're exposed to during your work shift. OSHA has set specific PELs for cotton dust for the various cotton processing areas, and your company tries very hard to meet these limits. The PELs for an 8-hour work shift are: cotton yarn manufacturing operations, 200 micrograms per cubic meter. Waste house operations, 500 micrograms per cubic meter. Slashing and weaving operations, 750 micrograms per cubic meter. Exactly how little is 200 micrograms of dust per cubic meter of air? This is roughly the equivalent of 2 specks of pepper in a cubic yard. To measure the amount of cotton dust in the air, your company has to collect and weigh the breathable dust particles using an instrument called a vertical elutriator. Your company can make a direct determination of dust levels by using an instrument called a pecan. In cotton processing areas that are at or below the OSHA exposure limit, this testing is required every year. In areas that are above the OSHA PEL, testing must be done at least every 6 months. Additional testing is conducted when manufacturing changes are made that could affect the dust levels. You will be told in writing within 20 working days of the testing how much cotton dust you're exposed to. In addition, your company will post the data prominently in the workplace. If a cotton processing area exceeds the cotton dust PEL, the OSHA standard requires your company to lower your exposure to meet the permissible limit. Engineering or mechanical controls, work practice controls, or the use of personal protective equipment may be used to control contact with the dust. The engineering methods that your company may use fall into 2 categories: processing machinery controls and ventilation methods. Examples of processing machinery controls include the use of automatic opening, chute feed carding, and automatic waste handling and baling systems. Ventilation systems, or the way air is circulated, are used in many different ways. Local exhaust ventilation systems capture the dust near the cotton processing equipment and can be used with opening, carding, or drawing machinery. Ventilation systems can also be designed to clean the air in an entire production area. Today, most companies are using a combination of both local exhaust and general air ventilation systems. While engineering methods are effective for collecting dust produced by the textile machinery, work practice controls, or the actions taken by you to minimize your exposure to cotton dust, must also be used. Your company has created a set of work practices that you should follow when you handle cotton. Most work practices are specific to each manufacturing process, but some work practices apply to all cotton processing areas and should always be followed. Examples of work practices that apply to all cotton processing areas include the use of compressed air and waste removal. Compressed air is only used to clean equipment when no other feasible method is available. If compressed air is used, the employee performing blow-down or blow-off must wear a respirator. The other employees must leave the affected area during the cleaning period. During the cleaning of the machinery, cotton dust and debris can also irritate your eyes, and the proper eye protection must be worn. Compressed air cannot be used to clean floors. A vacuum or other ways that have been designed to minimize the distribution of dust throughout a work area must be used. Waste must be removed carefully from under, around, or in textile equipment. The dumping of waste in open work areas is not allowed. Where feasible, vacuum systems should be used to remove waste. Sometimes, engineering controls and work practices may not be able to reduce the cotton dust to meet OSHA's permissible exposure limits. If this is the case in your facility, you'll need to wear respiratory protection. When required, your company will give you an approved respirator, commonly known as a dust mask, for the cotton dust area you will be working in. In some rare instances, a powered air purifier respirator may be necessary. When respirators are required, you will be medically evaluated to find out if you are physically fit to wear a respirator. Once cleared to wear a respirator, you'll be fitted with one that meets your needs and the requirements of the OSHA standard. You'll be given training on how to properly use a respirator. The training will also tell you when and how long you must wear it. The training will be repeated each year. When you begin working in a cotton processing facility, you'll be asked for a detailed medical history to identify any medical conditions or previous dust exposures, and to perform a pulmonary function test or breathing test. Your company will also give you a breathing test before and 4 to 6 hours into your first day's work shift or at the end of the work shift to make certain you're not affected by cotton dust. For a pulmonary function test, you blow into a machine called a spirometer that measures the amount of air you can breathe out in 1 second, called FEV1, and your total lung capacity, called FEC. Your breathing will be tested at least annually. However, if your company's cotton dust monitoring finds that the dust levels in your work area are lower than 50% of the permissible exposure limit, or the action level, the breathing test may only have to be given every 2 years. Tobacco smoking can adversely affect breathing capability. If you're a smoker and you're exposed to cotton dust, the loss of your breathing abilities may speed up and lung function may decrease. In addition, if you're exposed to other dusts or chemicals away from work, your performance on the breathing test may be adversely affected. Education and training is one of the most important elements of a cotton dust program. You'll receive training when you're placed in a cotton processing area, and refresher training will be conducted each year. This video is part of your training. Finally, the OSHA Cotton Dust Standard gives you the right to get copies of the dust level testing data and your breathing test records from your company. The standard also gives you the right to observe the cotton dust testing. Through the use of exposure monitoring, cotton dust control measures, medical surveillance, education and training, and record keeping, you're protected from the adverse effects of cotton dust. Since the cotton dust standard was implemented in the 1980s, respiratory ailments in the textile industry have been virtually eliminated. Remember to stay alert, properly follow all of your company's safety and health procedures, and wear the necessary personal protective equipment. With your help, textiles will continue to be one of the safest and healthiest industries in the United States.